You try to buy a bottle of water at a vending machine in 2035, and your hand reaches into your pocket out of habit. There's nothing there. There hasn't been anything there for 4 years. You stand in front of that machine, and for a split second, just one split second, you feel it, that ancient animal panic, like you've been stripped of something you were born holding, like someone reached into your chest and pulled out a piece of what it meant to be a person. And the worst part? Nobody around you even notices. Let's go back. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of this, because you didn't wake up one morning and suddenly live in a world without cash. It crept in, slow, patient, the way the most permanent changes always do. It started when you were still in your 20s. You remember the last time you held a bill, a real one. You remember the texture of it, the way it smelled faintly like copper and something older than you could name. You thought it was cute, almost nostalgic, like vinyl records or film cameras, something the older generation clung to. You thought it was cute that they were scared. You are older now, and you understand their fear in a way that sits in your chest like a stone. In 2035, your entire financial existence is a number on a screen, a sequence of digits assigned to your identity, your biometric profile, your government-issued digital wallet, your social credit score blended seamlessly into your spending power. You don't swipe a card, you don't tap a phone, you look at a sensor, you breathe, you exist, and the transaction happens. Your life is a ledger. Every coffee, every parking spot, every late-night impulse purchase at 2 a.m. when the loneliness gets loud, all of it recorded, all of it visible, not just to you. Your morning starts with a notification, not an alarm, an alert from your wallet AI telling you that your spending behavior last week flagged a 12% deviation from your income bracket's average consumption pattern. It recommends you avoid discretionary purchases until the 15th. You are 31 years old, and a piece of software is telling you how to spend money you already earned. You shower, you dress, you take the transit pod to your remote work hub because you can't afford the connectivity tier required to work from home anymore. That costs extra now. Privacy costs extra. Silence costs extra. The ability to exist without being optimized costs extra. You sit down at your desk, you open your dashboard, and somewhere in the back of your mind, in a room you've stopped visiting, a version of you, younger, louder, more dangerous, is screaming. Here is the thing nobody told you when they sold you the cashless future. They told you it would be safer, and it is for them. They told you it would be faster, and it is for their data collection. They told you it would be easier, and it is to monitor, to control, to shut off. Cash was the last form of money that didn't need anyone's permission. Think about that sentence. Let it settle into you slowly, like something cold. When you had cash, you could hand it to someone and the transaction existed only between you and them. No algorithm witnessed it, no platform took a fee, no system flagged it for unusual behavior. It was human, completely, stubbornly, inefficiently human. That inefficiency was not a flaw. That inefficiency was freedom. You didn't know that when you laughed at people who kept cash in their mattresses. You didn't know that when you celebrated the death of the ATM fee. You were so focused on the friction being removed that you never asked who benefited from removing it. Friction, it turns out, was the thing standing between you and total financial visibility. And in a world where your financial data is visible, your entire psychology is readable. They know when you are stressed because your food delivery spend spikes. They know when you are depressed because your social spending collapses. They know you are ambitious,
dangerously ambitious by their metrics, because your purchase pattern like someone building something, investing in yourself, moving outside your designated economic lane. You think you are invisible when you are alone in your apartment. You have never been more watched. And here is where the internal war lives inside you. Because you are not stupid. You know this. You have known pieces of this for years, assembling them slowly like a puzzle you were afraid to finish. But knowing is not the same as acting, and this is the part they never talk about, the cost of knowing without doing anything with what you know. You tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment. You tell yourself the system is too big. You tell yourself that at least you are aware, at least you are not like the others who don't even see it, and awareness becomes your consolation prize. You wear your consciousness like a badge while your behavior stays the same. That is the most sophisticated trap ever built. Not ignorance, not oppression, comfortable, well-informed paralysis. They do not need you to be blind. They just need you to be still. And you have been so still.
You think about the people you know who tried to move outside the system. The ones who built businesses accepting unofficial value exchanges, skills, goods, community currencies, things that couldn't be tracked. Some of them were shut down for tax irregularities. Some had their digital wallets suspended, pending review. Someone you knew in college, someone brilliant and restless and impossible to contain, had his entire financial identity frozen for 72 hours. No explanation, no recourse. He came back, smaller. That is the word for it, smaller. You watched that happen, and you felt the fear they wanted you to feel. You adjusted your behavior accordingly. You stayed in the lane. You optimized your visible compliance and buried your private revolt so deep that sometimes you forget it's there. But it's there. It never left. So let's have the conversation you have been avoiding. What are you actually doing with your awareness? Not what you plan to do, not what you would do if circumstances were different, if you had more time, more resources, more courage delivered to you fully formed and ready to use. What are you doing right now? Because the world didn't become this in one dramatic moment. There was no single villain, no announcement, no obvious line you could point to and say, there, that's where I should have fought back. It was 1,000 small acceptances, 1,000 moments where the convenience was real, the friction was real, the exhaustion was real, and the thing you surrendered was abstract enough to let go of without feeling it. You let go of cash because it was heavy. You let go of privacy because it was slow. You let go of the ability to exist financially outside someone's visibility because the alternative required effort. And effort in the direction of freedom has always been taxed at a higher rate than effort in the direction of compliance. And now you are here, sitting in a monitored hub, spending tracked money, living a life denominated in permissions. And somewhere in the city, right now, there are people your age who saw this differently. Not geniuses, not heroes, just people who decided earlier, who started building alternatives before the window closed, who understood that the value of money was never really in the paper or the pixel, it was in the agreement, the human agreement. Those people are not wealthy in the way the dashboard measures wealth, but they are something rarer. They are difficult to own. Here is what shifts when you really understand this. Not intellectually, you already understand it intellectually, emotionally, in the body, in the place where your decisions actually come from. Money has always been a story. Every civilization in history agreed to treat something, shells, gold, paper, data, as valuable, and that agreement became real through collective belief. The paper dollar was not valuable. The belief in the paper dollar was valuable. And when belief shifts, value shifts. This has happened every single time in history, every single time without exception. We are inside one of those shifts right now. The question is not whether the story changes. The story is already changing. The question is whether you are someone who notices the story changing and positions themselves accordingly, or whether you are someone who keeps operating inside the old story until the ground disappears beneath you. And here is the terrifying, clarifying thing. You cannot wait for safety to make that move. Safety is what they sell you to keep you traceable. The people who built leverage in every major economic transition in history were not the ones who waited for certainty. They were the ones who got comfortable with uncertainty earlier than everyone else. They built skills that transferred. They built relationships that weren't mediated by platforms. They built value that existed outside whatever the current system decided to count. They understood that the most dangerous asset you can hold is one that requires their permission to use. You are still sitting in the hub. The notification from your wallet AI is still blinking. 12% deviation, recommended behavior adjustment. And something is different now. Not the world. The world is exactly as it was 3 minutes ago. You are different. Not because you have a plan. Plans come later. Not because you are fearless. Fear is useful. Fear means you understand the stakes. You are different because the last story you were telling yourself, the one where you were just one person, just one node in an enormous system, where what you did or didn't build was essentially irrelevant, that story just lost its power over you. You feel it go. The world wants you legible, predictable, dependent. The most subversive thing you can do is become genuinely, stubbornly, quietly valuable in ways the algorithm cannot fully see. Not loud, not performative, not a gesture, a direction. You close the notification. You open something else. And for the first time in a long time, the version of you in that back room, younger, louder, more dangerous, goes quiet. Not because it gave up, because it's finally being listened to.